January 25, 1943. Warsaw, Poland. The city's skyline, once defined by the hum of everyday life, is now jagged, burned, and unrecognizable. Smoke drifts lazily through the air, the remnants of buildings that once stood tall and proud. The sound of distant gunfire and the thunderous marching of Nazi boots echo in the streets. It is a city caught in the clutches of despair, where hope seems like a distant memory. Amidst this desolation, one name remains shrouded in secrecy, forgotten by many, yet etched into the quiet resistance of a people desperate to survive. Hanka Kwiatkowska. She is supposed to be invisible. In fact, the very nature of her existence, her gender, her place in the world, insists on it. The Nazis have no reason to fear women like her. They see only a librarian, an unassuming member of the working class, someone far removed from the power structures that could challenge their iron grip over Europe. But Hanka is not just a librarian. She is a force, a quiet catalyst whose actions will soon defy every expectation placed upon her. She will build the very network that survives when so many others perish. On this cold winter morning, Hanka slips through the labyrinthine streets of Warsaw, her footsteps muffled by the layer of snow that has blanketed the city. The library where she worked before the occupation is now a place of hollow memories. Her colleagues, her friends, are gone, taken away by the Gestapo, or disappeared into the shadows of a war that has stolen their lives. But Hanka hasn't given up. She has become something else, a quiet architect of defiance, the curator of a secret that the Nazis will never see coming. As she walks, Hanka pulls her coat tighter against the cold, but it's not the chill in the air that sends a shiver down her spine. It's the constant fear of discovery, of being found out. The city she once knew is now a stage for war, where every street corner, every passing soldier, every whisper in the dark could be the end. But she carries on, for she knows the stakes. She is not just surviving. She is building something that will outlast the nightmare consuming her world. It is here, in these quiet, desperate moments, that the seeds of the resistance are sown. In the secrecy of hidden rooms, Hanka gathers those who still believe. Most of them are ordinary people, like her, mothers, fathers, children. They come from all walks of life, their names largely unknown to history, but their courage is undeniable. They are the ones who will challenge the invincible, who will chip away at the invader's might with nothing more than words, smuggled documents, and the will to resist. Her role is not to lead the charge with weapons. She has none. Her weapon is knowledge, information. She understands that information is power, that a network of communication, however small, can spark a chain of events that might topple even the most formidable of foes. Her library training has given her a unique perspective on the world. She sees connections where others see chaos. The networks she begins to build are not just about sending messages, but about creating an infrastructure of trust, of resilience. Each letter, each whisper passed between the walls, is a thread in a larger web that will hold even in the darkest of times. But this is not an easy task. The Gestapo are everywhere, their presence a constant reminder of the danger she faces. For every person she trusts, there is the terrifying possibility that one will break under pressure, that one will betray the entire network. Fear, doubt, and uncertainty are as much a part of the landscape as the snow and the smoke. Yet, Hanka pushes forward. She cannot afford to stop. To hesitate is to risk everything, not just for herself, but for the countless lives hanging in the balance. In the shadows of Warsaw's war-torn streets, she meets with other members of the underground resistance. These are the unsung heroes, those whose names will never be written in history books, yet whose actions will echo through time. They speak in hushed tones, their faces hidden behind scarves and the constant threat of discovery. Each meeting is brief, each conversation laced with urgency. Yet, in these fleeting moments, Hanka feels something she has not felt in weeks, a flicker of hope. They are building something, a resistance not born from brute force, but from intelligence, from collaboration. a network that could survive the long arm of the Nazi regime. But there is a tension in the air, a reminder that this fragile alliance could crumble at any moment. The men who lead many of the resistance cells are skeptical of Henke's efforts. They see her as just a woman, a librarian who hasn't fought in the trenches. They cannot see the potential of the network she is weaving, the intricate web of messages and safe houses she is laying out. It is, after all, an untested idea, one that relies on human connections and the sharing of intelligence rather than military might. It is fragile, vulnerable, like the people who are creating it. And yet, Henke persists. She believes in the power of connection. She believes that small actions, when combined, can create a force greater than the sum of its parts. She believes that the act of communicating, of passing information from one person to another, is an act of defiance in itself. It is in these quiet, ordinary moments that the heart of the resistance begins to take form. Her network grows, slowly at first, then, with greater speed. As more people join the cause, more information is passed through the underground channels she has created. She teaches them how to encode messages, how to recognize each other in the streets without speaking a word. Each moment is a lesson in survival, in navigating a world where trust is a rare commodity. The consequences of failure are severe, but the rewards, the idea of a future where the Nazi regime is no longer in control, keep her going. But even as the network expands, there are moments when doubt creeps in. Henke is aware of the risks, of the fragility of her operation. There are nights when she lies awake, listening to the sounds of war outside her window, wondering if she has made a mistake. It is a human question, one that plagues the mind of every resistance fighter. Is it worth it? Will the effort be enough? Can one woman, one small group, really change the course of history? As Henke contemplates these questions, she knows that the answer does not lie in the certainty of success. The answer lies in the effort itself, in the refusal to bow to the oppressive forces that seek to erase them, to silence them, to make them invisible. For Henke, the act of resistance is a declaration of existence. She is here, she will not be forgotten, and neither will those who fight beside her. She thinks of the others, the women and children who have joined the cause, and of the men who have come to see the value in what they are doing. There are those who still dismiss her efforts, who still underestimate the power of the network she is building. But there are others, too, who see the potential, who understand that her small, invisible resistance has the power to change the tide of the war. These moments of solidarity, of shared purpose, are what keep her moving forward, even when every day brings new dangers. As she moves deeper into the streets, her thoughts are interrupted by a sudden noise, the unmistakable sound of boots on cobblestones. Her heart races. The Nazis are close. She slips into the shadows, her breath shallow, her every sense heightened. For a moment, everything seems to freeze. She holds her breath, waiting for the sound to pass. It does. When the footsteps fade into the distance, she exhales slowly, her body still tense with the fear of discovery. But this moment of fear is also a reminder of the stakes. The network she is building is not just about survival. It is about the possibility of something greater. It is about the belief that even in the face of the most overwhelming force, the human spirit can find a way to endure, to resist, to fight back. In that moment, Henke knows that she is part of something larger than herself. Her name may never be remembered, but the network she is building will survive. It will outlast the Nazis. It will outlast the war. And when the dust settles, when the city of Warsaw is nothing but rubble, the story of what they did, of how they defied the impossible, will be remembered, if only by the few who survived to tell it. March 17, 1944. Lviv, Ukraine. The city is a patchwork of old beauty and brutal scars, its cobblestone streets marred by the heavy tread of Nazi boots. Snow falls in slow, heavy flakes, a gentle contrast to the violence that has become the city's constant companion. The hum of war lingers in the background, muffled by the thick walls of the underground resistance headquarters, where Henka Kwiatkowska now spends most of her time. Here, in the heart of a city slowly suffocating under occupation, the defiance of an invisible network continues to grow, not through guns or tanks, but through whispers, letters, and secret meetings. It has been more than a year since Henka began her work of connecting the scattered pieces of the resistance. What started as a quiet, fragile network, cobbled together from fragments of information and the courage of ordinary citizens, has now evolved into something greater, more organized. But the risks have also multiplied. The Gestapo's presence in Lviv is as pervasive as it is deadly, and every whisper carries the weight of potential discovery. To continue now, Henka knows, will require more than ingenuity. It will require complete trust in herself and in the people she's come to rely on. The cellar beneath the old church has become their sanctuary, its stone walls concealing a meeting room that smells faintly of damp and tobacco. The air is thick with urgency as Henka and her small group of resistance fighters sit around a rickety wooden table, their faces illuminated only by the flickering light of an oil lamp. Most of them are young, barely in their 20s, but their eyes betray the knowledge they carry, the knowledge that their lives are not just for them, but for a future they may never see. They are the heart of this operation, the ones who carry the messages, who organize the safe houses, who work tirelessly to disrupt the Nazi occupation from within. The tasks they perform are not glamorous. There are no dramatic gunfights or bombings in this resistance. Instead, there are hours spent coding messages, memorizing routes, and passing along vital information that could turn the tide of a war, or more often than not, simply ensure the survival of a few more days. The most dangerous work is the work that goes unseen, the connections forged in the dark. Henka, despite her reservations, has become their leader, the one who keeps the threads from unraveling, the one who ensures that each tiny action contributes to the larger goal. But as the group sits in the quiet, tense meeting, Henka knows the risks are higher than ever. The Gestapo are closing in. One of the younger members, Adam, slides a piece of paper across the table, his hands trembling slightly as he does. He has been with the network for months now, and he has proven himself time and again to be loyal. But his fear is palpable. The message on the paper is clear. The Nazis have infiltrated the resistance. A double agent, someone they trusted, has been working with the Gestapo, passing along information. Their safe houses, once secure, are now compromised. Henka looks down at the paper, her heart sinking. Her mind races, calculating the damage this betrayal could cause. If the Nazis know their routes, their contacts, their plans, it could all fall apart in an instant. The network she has worked so hard to build, the people she has come to trust like family, could be exposed, hunted, and destroyed. The weight of it presses down on her chest, and for a moment, she considers the impossible choice, to cut off the traitor, even if it means exposing herself and those closest to her. Her eyes meet Adam's, and she sees the same fear reflected in his. He knows what this could mean, what it would cost. And yet, there is no time to waste. There is no room for hesitation. They must act, and they must act quickly. Henka takes a deep breath, the air thick with the scent of smoke and anxiety, and speaks with the calm authority that has become her hallmark. "We must move immediately," she says, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside. "We'll need to change our routes. Contact the safe houses. Let them know that the Nazis are closing in. And we must be more careful than ever. Trust only those who have proven themselves." The others nod, but there is a heaviness in the room. The war, once abstract and distant, is now personal. It is no longer a fight between armies, but a battle for survival in a world that seems to be closing in on them from all sides. The next few hours are a blur of activity. Henka and her small group set to work, moving swiftly but quietly. There is no time for indecision or doubt. They must erase every trace, every signal that could lead the Nazis to them. Henka takes charge of contacting the safe houses, while Adam and a few others are sent to reroute the messages. They must act as if nothing has changed, but everything has. The web that Hanka has spent so long building is now fragile, stretched thin by the weight of betrayal. But she cannot afford to dwell on that now. There is only the present, only the next move. As the night drags on, the resistance members work in silence, each one focused on their task, each one carrying the burden of what is at stake. Hanka moves between the rooms, checking in on the others, offering quiet words of encouragement. She feels the exhaustion setting in, the weight of responsibility pressing against her chest. But there is no room for fatigue. The enemy is at their doorstep, and she will not let them be defeated now. By morning, the network has been re-established, its vulnerabilities patched up, its lines of communication rerouted. But there's a sense of unease that hangs in the air. The betrayal has left a mark on them, one that will not be easily erased. Hanka knows it, and the others know it too. Trust, once broken, is not easily mended. But there is no time for reflection. There is only the next step, the next message, the next life to be saved. Days pass in a blur of movement and silence. The resistance operates like a shadow, slipping in and out of the cracks of Nazi control. They are not a force to be reckoned with on the battlefield. They are a force of information, a disruption. And in their small, quiet way, they are winning. But the fear remains. The Gestapo's grip on Lviv grows tighter, their search more methodical, their cruelty more calculated. Hanka feels it in her bones. She knows that it's only a matter of time before the network is compromised again. It is a constant game of cat and mouse, where every move is weighed with the possibility of death. But Hanka and her comrades continue. They keep moving, keep fighting, because they know that every message they pass, every piece of intelligence they send, is another crack in the Nazi regime. One night, as Hanka walks alone through the snow-covered streets, the weight of everything that has happened presses down on her. The faces of the people she's lost flash before her eyes. Those who have given their lives for this cause, whose sacrifices will never be fully recognized. She wonders, as she often does, if it will have all been worth it, if any of this will matter when the war is over. And yet, as she walks, she knows the answer is yes, because it is not about the recognition or the victory or the glory. It is about survival. It is about holding on to something, anything, in a world where everything has been taken away. It is about the quiet defiance that no one can ever truly extinguish, no matter how hard they try. In the days that follow, the network continues to operate, its members still hidden, still working in the shadows. The war rages on, but the resistance endures. Hanka knows that it is not enough to just survive. They must leave something behind. A legacy, a message that says, we were here and we fought. We fought not with weapons, but with our minds, with our courage, with our refusal to be invisible. And maybe, just maybe, that will be enough. April 15th, 1945. Vienna, Austria. The war is almost over. The sounds of artillery and gunfire that once defined Europe's landscape have begun to fade into a distant memory. The Allied forces are advancing on all fronts, and the Nazi regime, once an unshakable monolith, is crumbling beneath the weight of its own corruption and failure. Yet, in the quiet aftermath of this destruction, a different story is unfolding. It is a story not of soldiers marching triumphantly into the city streets, but of those whose contributions were ignored, whose sacrifices were forgotten by history. Hanka Kwiatkowska, once the architect of an underground network that defied the Nazi regime, walks the now silent streets of Vienna, her heart heavy with the knowledge of what has been lost. The city, like so many others across Europe, bears the scars of the war. Buildings are in ruin, streets are barren, and the air is thick with the melancholy of a world that has witnessed too much death. Yet, as Hanka moves through this wreckage, there is a sense of resignation, a bitter understanding that the victory she fought for will not be hers to claim.